Welcome back to Let's Code Games, and welcome to this special Sunday stream. I will be away next weekend, so I won't be able to make a stream on Saturday next week. So I decided to do it tonight, and hopefully a couple people are able to show up. And I know the schedule is a little bit messed up this month, but I'm trying to at least put up the videos out regularly on YouTube, so the schedule on YouTube will remain as it always has been, and I'll upload the streams on Sunday. So yesterday's streams just went up on YouTube, and the next stream, the stream that we're doing today, will be up. I will upload next Sunday, so that there is no break on Sundays, and yeah. But hopefully people are able to find this. If people don't have the time to come on Saturday, they will have the time to come by today. And yeah, so let's see how it goes. And yesterday we worked on a couple of skills for our characters. So first of all, we made sure that our character not only can pick up the bushes, that we did that 2 weeks ago, but we can now walk with the bushes because we have that animation already. We just need to implement it, and that's what we did yesterday. And we also created a new skill for our character, and I'm looking for a room where I can show this off. There's one down there. So in Zelda, there were often you had these puzzles that you can solve, and some of them involve pushing blocks around. So I wanted to have this pushing skill as well, and that's what we figured out yesterday. And it was actually quite hard to do because we needed to figure out how the physics works. Because when we're pushing the object, we need to take the collider of the object into account when we're pushing it against obstacles and stuff like that. So that's what we did yesterday, and it's if you missed that, you can watch that on YouTube. Just search for Let's Code Games or go to letscodegames.com, and there's a link there that brings you to the YouTube channel. And so here, this is what we basically can do now. So the blue blocks we are able to push those, so we can push this block here, and then push this block here, push this up. This is a classic puzzle that you see in many games. And then we can reach the chest and get our sweet loot, the shield there, which is now equipped. Yeah, I think that's basically what we did yesterday. And I also wanted to implement touch controls yesterday on stream, but then I decided today that I just implement that off screen, because there was a lot of fiddling involved, and I needed to build it and test it on a tablet, which doesn't read very well on stream. So I just decided to do it offline, and it works kind of well. I'm not super. I mean, the controls can be polished a little bit more. Let me see if I can show this to you on video here. But yeah, you can see it works. The game plays just as it would on a computer. You can pick up stuff. I think the interesting bit is that two interesting bits, I think. So the first of all, the controls work in the way that if you push on the left half of the screen, you can move around, and depending on how your touch changes, the movement of the character changes. And if you push the right half of the screen, then you attack with the sword. But also, if you're close by to an interactable and you push the right half of the screen, you pick that up, and or you interact with the interactable. So I'm trying this out. I'm not sure if this works very well in the long run, but I kind of wanted to have touch controls in the game to be able to just to test the game when I'm on the road or something like that. So yeah, I can quickly show you what I did and how the code looks for the touch controls, and then we move on to today's topics. Yeah, today's topics will be, first of all, we want to finally make sure that our character has some health and that we are tracking that, and that when we run into an enemy and he hits us, that we actually have some damage there. And the same thing, I also want to have some armor values. So this is where I want to deviate from Zelda a little bit. In Zelda you have those hearts, and whenever you get touched by an enemy you lose a little bit of your health. But I kinda, since this is supposed to be a roguelike, I want to have variation in the weapons, like random variations in the weapons and the armor that we can find and stuff like that. So I thought it would be much more interesting if you have the actual values of the health and the armor and so we can go up, like, I don't know, we start with 100 health and then later on either we level up, or I don't know, we just gain more health and the armor that we find gets stronger as well. So and this is something that is in another, or similar to another game that is one of my favorites as well, and that is called Secret of Mana. In Secret of Mana you always have the health values at the bottom, and what I liked about Secret of Mana as well is that you had very beautiful looking damage counters. So when you get hit, or when you hit an enemy, a very satisfying number pops up, and the more damage you do, the bigger that number gets, and the more beautiful it looks. So I kind of want to have that as well, because I always thought that is a very satisfying mechanic. So that's where we deviate from Zelda a little bit, and yeah. And then, so we want to have the health and armor today, the damage counter, and then I want to have a way to compare items. So when you pick up a new shield, that we can see the stats of the shield and compare it with the stats of the shield that we already have. Later on it will be the same mechanic for helmets and your armor and stuff like that. So you can choose which one you have. We'll see if we get there. So first of all, let's talk about the touch controls a little bit, so you can see how that is done. As always, I created a new component for this, and we already had two control components. We have the keyboard control and gamepad control, and now we also have the touch control. And what I do is I designed the components in such a way that they work in tandem, so they're all active, they're all on our character, and just whatever the player is doing, it just works. So you don't have to switch between keyboard or gamepad control in the menu, and I don't have to remember to activate touch control when I build for tablets and stuff like that. They're just, all the controls are active, and if one of them is being used, then that just works. So let's look at the touch control script here. It is a little different than the other control script that we had before. Let me open up the gamepad control here just to compare it. So in the gamepad control it was very straightforward. We took care of the walking, we took care of the attacking, and we took care of using interactables in different methods. This is basically, the walking is used with the joystick, and that is self-contained. The walking is down here. The attacking is using a button, and the interaction is also using a button. So that is pretty straightforward. But using touch controls is a little different. Are you a wizard? Why? I think I'm a modern day wizard because I just make stuff happen. I think every coder is a modern day wizard. But what do you mean? Alright, so the touch control works a little bit differently because there can be multiple touches on the screen, and we have to figure out where they are, and depending on where they are, they do different things. So basically we just have this update touches method, and Unity provides us with an array of touches. So it gives us for all the touches that are occurring at the current frame, it gives us the data for that touch. And you can access that data with the input.touches. Yeah, this is an array. Input.touches is an array, and the input.touch count gives you the value how many you have. So basically, by having this for loop, I just iterate over all the touches that I have. And I pass this on to the update touch method. In the update touch method, I am checking the face object. So you can see the touch struct. This is a data type from Unity, and you can see we have a delta position here. So how much has the position the touch moved? Delta time gives you the time how long the touch is staying on the same place. And then you have a unique ID, so you can detect if this is so you can detect between frames if this is the same touch or not, and we're going to use that. Then you have the touch phase, which gives you basically just tells you, has this touch just occurred? Has this been there a long time? Is it moving, or is it just ending? Stuff like that. So you know where you are. And then you get the position, and I'm actually not quite sure what the difference between position and raw position is, but that doesn't matter. And then the tap count. So if you're tapping multiple times, Unity tries to detect that, and you can catch that with the tap count. But we are not using that. No, I'm not from the UK. I'm from Germany, actually. It sucks you lost your first stream. I think it was the most important for a beginner. Yeah. I agree, actually. It really sucks. But I had this idea that I want to do one-day games in the future. So so maybe on a Sunday or something, I allocate, like, let's say 8 hours. I think that is a good time frame, and to just make a working game in 8 hours, like a very small one. Recreate, for example, a Pac-Man game or a Pong game, just the classic games from start to finish, and then upload those during the month on YouTube as well. So this way you have a small contained project that that you can learn with. I think this game here, this Zelda game, is getting quite complex right now. So it might be a little harder for beginners to get into, but yeah. But I want to have different projects for different types of skills that people have, so that everybody can learn where they are. So what am I doing? I studied game design for a while, and I'm owner of my own company, and I'm making games. I'm an indie developer from Germany, basically. All right. Let's get back to the touch stuff. So this is the struct that we get from Unity. That is all the data that we get for each and every touch that you have on the tablet. So we're iterating over all those touches, and first of all, we're checking the touch phase from all our touches. So the phase, as I said before, it tells you basically where the touch is. So if the touch phase is equal to began, then this is the first frame that the touch is occurring. Then you can see if the touch has ended, or if the touch moved or was stationary. So when the touch begins, basically I'm passing this on to different handler functions. So I want to do different things. When the touch begins, I want to check where it is, if it's ended, and stuff like that. So let's see when the touch begins, what we do here. First of all, the touch position that we get basically gives you the pixel values of the pixel values on screen, basically. So you touch somewhere and it tells you this is pixel 800 on the x-axis and 600 on the y-axis. So I'm calculating the viewport position here from that pixel position, and the viewport position is basically well, as you can see here, you calculate that in the camera. So in our main camera, we calculate that. And basically what the viewport position is a value from 0 to 1 on the whole screen. So on the x-axis 0 would be on the far left and 1 would be on the far right of the screen. On the y-axis 0 would be, I think, on the bottom or on the top, I don't know. So let's say y equals 0 would be on the very bottom, and if it's 1 it would be on the very top of the screen. And this is much more, this is helpful because basically the controls that that I created take into account where are you touching. Are you on the right half of the screen, which would be attack, or are you on the left half of the screen, which would be moving? And that is why I am calculating the viewport position. And you can see here, then I'm checking if the x coordinate of the viewport position is greater than 0.5, so it would be on the right half of the screen. Then I am either let's put this on the second line here. So I'm either accessing the on action pressed method, which is used to interact with stuff, and I do that if I find a usable interactable in my surrounding, and if I don't find a usable interactable, then I'm attacking. And hey man, could you answer a question? Yes, please, just ask away. Did you study this, or did I do an apprenticeship? So there was, I went to university for this, University of Applied Sciences in Darmstadt, and there's a course called Digital Media, Animation and Games, and you kind of could decide if you would do more animation or if you would do more games and stuff like that. And I was a programmer, well, since I was 14, I think, so I just decided to make games there. Alright, so if I click on the left half of the screen, then I'm checking if I'm already moving. If I'm already moving, I don't want to do anything. So basically, this is the case if there's already a finger on the left half and I press with another finger on the left half. So I don't want to do anything in that case. But if I'm not moving, then I'm storing a couple of values. So first of all, if I'm not moving and I'm pressing the left half, then I want to declare that I'm moving. I want to store the finger ID so I can find the same finger later and see if it has moved and stuff like that. And I'm storing the position where the finger is right now, also so I can see if it has moved relative to that position later on. Alright, and that is the handle touch began. So the next phase is, okay, let's go to the touch end phase because this is very simple. So basically, handle touch end, if I'm moving and the current finger is the one that I'm moving with, then I want to stop moving. Basically, this is just saying if the finger that I'm moving with is lifted up or is moving outside of the screen, then just stop moving. That is the only thing that I'm doing here. And then for the touch, and basically the last thing I'm handling is when a finger has moved or it remains on the screen. And this is the most interesting bit here. You can see it's a little longer. Well, I should probably put that in different methods. So, but what I'm doing here is, first of all, I'm checking if the finger is the one that I'm moving with. So I only want to handle this, execute this code for the one finger that touched on the left side of the screen. Then I am calculating the difference between the current position of the finger and the last position of the finger that I stored when I started with this. And this is basically a vector that tells me the difference, how has the finger moved. And this is also in pixels again. So here I'm calculating the physical difference. And by physical I mean this is not in pixels, this is actually in inches or in centimeters. It should be in inches, I think. So you can see here I'm getting the screen.dpi from Unity. So how much dots per inch I have. So many different screens have different DPI values. For example, a newer iPhone with a Retina display has a much higher DPI level. And if I divide the number of pixels by that DPI value, I actually get the physical size. So, for example, I think, let's say my device has a value, a screen resolution of 300 dpi, so 300 pixels per inch. And then if the difference here is 150, so the difference between my current finger position and the last finger position is 150 pixels. Divide that by the 300 of the DPI, that means the finger has moved half of an inch. And I want to do that because I don't want to use pixels here, but the physical difference, because if you use it on tablets or if you use it on phones matters basically. If I would calculate the pixels here, you wouldn't actually, depending on what the physical size of the screen is, you would have to move your finger farther or not so far so that the difference is recognized here. So that's why I'm calculating the physical difference. And basically my threshold here is 0.1 inch. So if I move the finger 1/10 of an inch, then I want to deal with that. And basically what I'm doing here is, if the physical difference of the x-axis, so I'm handling the x and the y-axis differently. I tried a couple of different approaches and I kind of like this. It's still a little bit finicky, but I think this is just, I have to find the right threshold values here. Basically, if the physical difference in the x-axis is greater than 1/10 of an inch, then I want to go right, basically. And I'm doing the same with going left down here, and the same with, and then I'm do the same with the y-axis, and I'm storing that in last direction, and last direction basically just is the value that I'm then passing on to my character so that it moves. Yeah, and so that's basically how the touch controls work. They're a little bit more complex than the other ones, but nothing fancy here. So you can check that out when you get the code from the Git repository and see. Yeah, and then you can check it out for yourself how this is done. But yeah, that's basically it for the touch controls. All right, let's see here. A couple of questions. I'm new to Unity. Used Java before and tried adding into my new project an infinite background. Added the last render object to a list to find the end position. All right. Okay. So for questions like this that don't actually have to do with this project, it might not be as interesting for other people to get the answers to that. So I encourage you to just send me an email with that, and I'm happy to answer the question there. All right. But it's, yeah, I kind of want to keep the stream on topic on this project here. So you can send me an email to oliver@letscodegames.com, and then I'm happy to answer the question for you. All right. But if you guys have any questions regarding what we're talking about right now, I'm happy to answer those questions on stream. So let me here. So the email is oliver@lets. Oh wait, no. Let's make oliver@hammerlabs.com. Let's make it oliver@hammerlabs.com, because this one is guaranteed to reach me faster. Okay. So, yeah, that's the touch controls. And today we want to start with some health and some armor for our character. And I've already prepared a little bit of that. And basically, I prepared the UI a little bit. So you can see here I have some deactivated objects. And this is just... these are just basically a health bar and the same thing for armor. And let's disable the armor for now. Let's just focus on health. So there's no script functionality on this right now. Basically, I just created the UI stuff so that we can start scripting immediately. Okay. So you can see here we have a couple of different objects. So we have the icon, which is the heart on the left, and we have the background that we can decide basically in the background how I mean, the background stretches to the size, so we have a parent for this health bar called health, and we can basically just increase the width here however we want, and the bar changes accordingly. But let's keep that at 400, so it's easier to change the layout later when we add more stuff. And then, so we have the background here, we have a foreground image which is basically just a UI image with no sprite attached, which means this is just a rectangle, and we can use this to show the health bar here, and we have to make sure that it clamps properly so it doesn't go over the actual value here. And then we have a text object that displays the values. Let's see in our character what we can do here to represent that health, to store that health. So we have a character component, a base character component, that basically just has references to the other components. I think we have a movement model. Let's create a new class for this. Let's create a character health model. So character health model, and this basically just stores the health, and we also have some we could put the functionality to deal damage in this component, and it can deal with, do we have armor, and then maybe reduce the health and the armor and stuff like that. So let's start by giving it a couple of properties. So we need maximum health, maximum health, and I'm giving it a float here, not because I want to be able, I want to have like floating point maximum health stuff. It's just easier for some calculation later on. And then we want to have the current health, and then on start, what we do for now is that we set the health to the maximum health. And okay, so let's set up the reference to this in our character as well. So the health model, and then we can put a couple of helper functions in here. So for example, get health percentage, and that is basically just the health divided by the maximum health, which means if the health is at maximum, then we get a 1. If the health is 0, then we get a 0, and everything in between. And that is a good helper function for our health bar, to scale it appropriately. We can also have a function to deal damage. Or let's make sure that the health is actually not a public method here, because I want to make sure that no other class can access this value. I actually also don't want to. Let's rename this. Let's make it name the starting health, and then we have a private float as well that stores the maximum health. Because I want these values to be private, so that no other class can change these values. Only the health class itself can change these values. So we're setting the maximum health and the regular health to our starting health. And then we have this method deal damage. And basically what we do for now is we just reduce our health we reduce it by the damage. So can do this short handle here, minus equals damage, which means reduce the health by the damage value. And then if our health is lower than 0, for First of all, let's check this first. If the health is lower than or equal to 0, then we don't want to deal any additional damage, because we are already dead. And if the health, because now we can check if the health is lower than equal to 0 again, basically after we reduce the health. So now we know if this is true, then we just died in this, while we've been dealing this damage here. So for now, just have a debug here. We died. And those are all the values that we need for this. Okay, let's add this to our character. Add the health model. And then the starting health, let's just set it to 100 for now. And make sure that this is referenced in our character component. Okay, so now that we have that, we need a component that changes our basically the values in our UI. All right, so let's create a new class here, UI health bar. And we get a reference to so let's get a public reference to the health model, character health model. And then on update, wait, no, we also set up references to the different UI classes. Let's put this up here just to keep it organized. So update, we have update text and we have update health bar. Let's start with the update text. Basically, health text, and then we also have an image health bar. Okay, so the health text is basically just we need to get the values here. So get health and also float get maximum health. So the text basically just is we're rounding it to an integer, and then we get the health model to get health, have a slash in there, and then do the same for our maximum health. This is the update text, and then the update health bar. So for now, how can we calculate the maximum width of the health bar? Well, let's just use the value for now, 300, and we can make it depending on the bar size later. Okay, so 300 is the maximum width of the bar. So basically what we want to do is the health bar, change the width of that image. Do we get... I think we need to get the rect transform here, not the image itself. Set size with current anchors. Is it scale? Well, no, it's not really scale, because yeah, I know, but I mean we could. Yeah, I think we can use scale. It's true. It works as well, and it's easier to just put it in there. You're right, let's use scale, so we don't need the pixel value here. So health bar dot scale is the health model, get health percentage, and then the other ones just remain at 1. All right, yeah, that should work. Okay, to test that, let's just put a debug key code here in here for now. If input get key down, just if we press T for dealing damage. Now we're using the D already, so that's not helpful. So then we deal damage. So if we press T, we deal 10 damage to our character. So we need to add that component, and let's add this to our root health object. And the health model is the one from our character. The health text is the one right here, and the health bar is this one. Okay, let's press play and see what's happening. So right now we have 100 of 100 health, and if I press T, then we get 10 damage, and the value gets the value gets reduced to 90, and then the bar gets reduced as well. So that works perfectly. And when we reach 0, the console says we died. Perfect. So that's a very simple way to add health and have it display nicely in our UI. So let's see, there's some when it's set the health bar maximum with times health. Yeah, we had that. All right. Use the scale. Then any tips for programmers to create art that doesn't look disturbing? Well, the art that I'm using is actually created by a friend of mine. So if you know someone who can do art, that's always a good. Just ask them to help you out. Otherwise, there's tons of free art. If you just want to prototype stuff, there's tons of free art either on the Unity Asset Store, or if you go to opengameart, is it .com or .net? Let me quickly see so I don't tell you anything wrong here. So go to opengameart.org, and you can get tons of art that you can use for free. There are some that you can use for free even in commercial games and stuff like that, but you can see, I mean, there are tons of artists that submit here, so the quality is really different on this website. But you can see here there's a Dune 3D stuff, so a couple of objects that you could use for a prototype here. There's very cool 2D art as well. So yeah, just browse that website. You can see here there's oftentimes it makes sense to check when you find an art, just an asset that you like, just click on the name of the author, and you can see if that author did more of the same stuff. Because usually if you can see here, we found the paladin that we like, clicked on the author, and he actually also created different characters in the same style. So you can basically have multiple characters in the same style for your game. And one that I just want to recommend in particular is named Kenny. and he's doing awesome stuff, and he's giving all his art away for free in the public domain actually, so you can use it in commercial games and whatever. So just search for Kenny, and then you can see, for example, he has this platformer art here, and some spaceship stuff. So yeah, if you want to do a platformer, there's some cool art here. This is actually the pixel style of that, but he has yeah, different kinds of styles and tons and tons and tons of assets here. And since he's creating them all in the same style, so yeah, that should get you started with some great art for your prototypes. Alright, you are awesome. Thank you. I'm really glad you'll enjoy the stream. Okay, so we have a functioning health bar. Now we need to... So right now we only can get damage from... basically from our debug key here. So let's see where we can get damage when we hit our enemy, because we have an enemy already. We have this bat, and we already have the code in there that pushes the character back when we collide with the enemy. So we have the bat character bat control. Let's see what we have. Yeah, so we have an on-hit character here on our bat control. Basically what we can see, what we can do here is add another public variable, load attack damage, and then whenever on-hit character is being called, we can just character get component, we get the character health model, and then we call deal damage on that with the attack damage. This is actually not too nice. Let's see what we can do here. Let's make sure that the on-hit character actually has the character component and not the game object. Because this way we only have to do get component once for the character, and since we check for the tag here, if it's the player, we know that the character exists, and then we can simply access the movement model here and access the health like so. So we don't have to use get component here. So whenever we are colliding with our with the enemy now, we should get... Oh no, right now we shouldn't get any damage because the enemy, we still need to set the parameter. Let's go to the enemy prefab, so our bat, and we have the attack damage here, so let's set this to 20 maybe. So whenever we collide with a bat, we should get 20 damage. Sword, there's a bat right there. Let's collide with it, and we get 20 damage. Perfect. Compare tag. Collider compare tag. Collider.compare tag is way faster than collider tag is equal to player. That... Alright, yeah, let's just change it. Why not? Why not? So collider dot compare tag. Oh yeah, I didn't know that. Thank you. So collider dot compare tag is faster than just having equals. It compiles the compare tag to an enum, so Unity doesn't have to do a string comparison. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Thank you. That's a cool tip. Let's see if... Let's test that. Let's go to the... Just have a debug thing in here. So, if input get key down key code Z, let's have like 100,000 iterations for each. Float test time, real time since startup, for in e0, for iterations. And let's get the collider 2D here. That would be very interesting to see. So first of all, we're testing the equals. If collider tag equals player, we do nothing, and then we just see what the time is. And then we set the test time, reset the test time again, do the same thing for the other one, for the other method. Compare tag to player, and then debug that again. So pressing Z. I'm very curious to see if this is how much faster this is supposed to be. So pressing Z. Okay, let's increase the iteration count here to 1,000,000 maybe. No, let's make it to 10 million. So we actually have a couple of seconds. But it looks like it's a little faster. Well, wait. The debug needs to, so compare tag. Press play here. It's always good to test this. I mean, oftentimes you read in the forums that something is supposed to be faster, and sometimes people just assume stuff. So it's always good to test this yourself. So let's press Z here. It should go for roughly 10 seconds. So, wait. Oh, I changed, okay, I named them wrong, but basically, yeah, it's faster, it's true. So this is supposed to be the equals up here, and this is compare tag, so I labeled them wrong. But basically, equals for 10 million equals. So we're doing equals 10 million times, and it takes 5.6 seconds. And if we're doing compare tag 10 million times, it takes 4.2 seconds. So yeah, it's a little faster. Pretty cool. Thank you for passing that tip along. I mean, I think there's this a similar one to game object. There's something where you can check for null, but I forgot what it is. Anyway, compare tag is a little bit faster than if you use equal. I mean, the game that we're working on, that performance isn't really an issue, but it's always good to know little tidbits like this. Alright, so our bat can deal damage, and we can die. Well, we can recognize that we're dying, but we're not dying at the moment. So what I also want to do is I want to have armor. And for now we only have the shield stuff. So we have our armor shield view here. And let's go to the item prefabs and our shield. Okay, so let's create armor shield model. Basically, the way I want this to work is when you pick up a shield, then this shield will have an armor value. For example, let's say it will have a value of 50. So we'll start out with an armor value of 50, and this gets shown in another bar right here. And when you get hit, I want the damage to split between the armor and the health. So basically, let's say you get 20 damage from the bat, but you have a shield, so 10 damage will go to the shield and 10 damage will go to the health. And then when the shield basically gets to zero zero armor value, it explodes and gets destroyed. So later on you can basically, we can find different kinds of shields that have different values, more armor values, so you can switch and get better and better shields when you progress through the game, stuff like that. This is so calming to watch. It's like Bob Ross for Game Dev. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I just make a screen cap of this and print this out. All right. Let's go to the armor model component that we just created, and basically give it like do something similar to the health model that we created just here. So we have a starting armor value, and it doesn't really need to be an armor shield model. It can be just an armor model, because the helmet will have the exact same functionality, and chainmail armor that we equip later will have the same functionality. So it doesn't have to be specific for the shield. You can just call this armor model. Got to go. Thanks for doing this series, man. It's really informative. Thank you for coming by. I mean, I upload all the streams to YouTube, so if you missed something, just go to youtube.com, search for Let's Code Games, and then you find all the past broadcasts there. Because Twitch is only storing the latest, the last past broadcast for 2 weeks, so I upload all of them to YouTube, so they will be there for forever, basically. Alright, let's rename this as well to armor model, and then we do something similar to, so starting armor, maximum armor, and current armor. It will be very, very similar to what we have here. So we're getting get armor, get maximum armor, and in the beginning we're setting our armor value to the starting armor and the maximum value to the starting armor as well. Get armor, get maximum armor. And then we have a deal damage as well. But this is a little... I mean, for now it looks very similar, but it will change a little bit here. Because... basically what we're doing here is we destroy the game object when the armor gets destroyed. But in the How do we do that? Alright, we can yeah, okay. So basically what we're going to do is, first of all, we're giving the shield an armor model, and we're setting the starting armor to, let's say, 50. So we have a method called equip shield. It's, let's say, where is it? So the equip shield object basically creates the object from the database and then attaches it to our character. And I pass this into an equip item method because it's basically the same for the weapon, the same functionality. What we want to do now is we want to get the, so first of all, if the new shield object is 0, because that can happen, or if it's null, then we don't want to do anything here. And we have to return the new item object down here. And basically what I want to do now is I want to register the armor with our health model. So let's get the armor model here. And let's also make sure that it exists. If not, we could print out a warning. So, a warning, no armor model for this shield. And then return out of this. Okay. But if we do have an armor model in the shield that we just created, then we want to register it with the hub model. So basically we want to have a list using system connections generic. We want to have a list of armor models. And then we can register armor. And back here we want to, do we have a reference to our character? Character movement model. We don't have a reference to our character. Interesting. Let's get a reference to the character component here, because the character component has a reference to all the other components. Get component character. So in our character, get the health model and then register the armor here. And then let's do the same thing. And we also need to have a way to unregister it. So unregister armor, basically when we unequip it or if it gets destroyed. So remove it from the list, and we're calling that when basically here. So since we are attached to the character, we can do a get component in parent, because the shield is, let's go to the hierarchy here. The shield is in the hierarchy of the main character in the shield parent. So basically we can get the health model of our character by just looking for the health model in the parent hierarchy. And there's a Unity provides us the get component in parent method for that. Character health model, and let's just make sure that it exists so we don't have any errors if it doesn't. Health model, and if the health model is not null, then we want to register this armor here. Okay, and now let's copy those and basically, whoops, copy those and basically rename them to get armor, get maximum armor, and get armor percentage. But the difference is now that we basically get the total armor. Well, let's call it get total armor, and get total maximum armor, and get total armor percentage. Basically, there will be 3 different armor types. So you can have a helmet, you can have a shield, and you can have a full body armor. And those values get added on top of each other. So I don't understand anything, but I would like to learn how to program. So yeah, I mean this project is already quite complex. If you're just starting out, I would recommend you check out the Unity channel. They have some cool tutorials. And later later this month, I think I want to start this. I want to have like beginner projects as well on this stream. So I will have like one day where I create a complete beginner game, for example, a Pong or something in a day. So that would be way easier for a beginner. But there are tons of tutorials there. So if you want to start to learn to program, just go for it. I highly encourage it. There's stuff on code.org, and there's stuff from the Unity tutorial series. Yeah, just do it. I mean, being a programmer in the 21st century is really valuable. It's a valuable skill to have. So, okay, get total armor. So we go through the list that we have of all the armors that are registered. And then we add this, let's call this total armor. We add the armor value to this total armor. That is basically, we're getting the get armor from the armor model here. And then we return total armor. And we're doing the same for the maximum. Get maximum armor, and then for the percentage we basically just we call get total armor and get total maximum armor. Alright, so we can put this on the UI element for the health as well, for the armor here, and basically it's much of the same functionality than what UI health bar is doing. But also, if we don't have any armor, I don't want to show this bar because it would be confusing. So if the total maximum armor is 0, then I just make all of this invisible. But I can't deactivate it. Otherwise, the script itself gets deactivated as well. Let's see. Scripts, interface, UI health bar. Let's change this to UI armor bar. So UI armor bar, and we have the text, armor text, we have the armor bar. But for this we also want to have, so let's do this first and change this to the appropriate armor functionality. So we have get armor here, get total armor, and get total maximum armor. That should work for now. And let's set up the references again. So we have the character health, we have the text here, and we also have the bar. Let's see if that works, and then afterwards I'm going to create that functionality that the bar gets hidden when we don't have anything. Okay, so we have a divide by 0 here. That is expected. Basically, what we want to do is if the maximum is bigger than 0, then we want to do this. Basically, what we're going to do is if the maximum armor is 0, then we want to hide the bars. Okay, so right now, because we're not because the total armor is 0 at the moment, so this bar is not being updated. But as soon as we get the shield, it should perfect. The first scene has the shield here. It should show us the proper shield armor value. So once we get the shield, now the bar is at 50. But why is the foreground not changing? Oh, this should be 300 here. Okay, perfect. So let's make sure, oh, I need to change this in play mode. So let's make sure that the bar is invisible when we don't have anything to show. Basically, I just create a list of game objects that I want to disable. I cannot disable myself because then I will disable the component as well. But I can just create a list of Let's just make everything invisible. Image, icon, image. We can make it. So we create a function called set images visible, and then we just iterate for each image in our array of images. set the enable flag to whatever visible is. So here we can say set images visible to false, and also the armor text, we set this to empty, and then here set images visible to true. Do we have a public demo of this game so far, and do we have any public design docs? I don't have design docs because I make it up as I go, but there is, if you go to letscodegames.com, you can find a link to the Git repository and then just get the game and build it yourself if you like. As soon as the game is in a state where I want to upload the builds regularly to my website, but I haven't done that yet. I have a list of the builds from each week, and I just want to put them up on the website, but I haven't done that yet. So basically, you have to get the code open it in Unity and just play it for now. But I will upload the builds soon. Alright, so we're setting it to invisible. We're saying armor text is empty when we don't have a maximum armor, otherwise the text gets updated and stuff like that. Alright, this should work. Oh, we haven't set any images yet? What? Wait. So the icon should be invisible, the background should be invisible, and the foreground should be invisible. And there you go. Now the bar is invisible. Let's see if we can find a shield again. Oh yeah, there's one to the right. Perfect. So we go over here. Let's grab the shield. And then the bar gets, shows up with the proper values. Perfect. So the last thing for the armor stuff that I want to do is that when I get hit by an enemy, the damage should split between the health and the armor. Let's see. So right now we're still only getting damage in our health bar. So let's see if we can fix that. In our health model, so let's create a couple of variables here. So health damage is set to damage, and if float armor damage set to 0, not 4. If armor models count is greater than 0, so if we have any armor here, then no, we don't need that. Damage absorbed by armor. This is a better approach. Basically what we can do, we iterate over all the armor models that we have. Armor models count. And I want to split the damage that I want to split the damage between all the models basically. Let's see, how do we do that properly? We would need to first of all, we would need to sort the armor so the one with the lowest armor gets hit first, because the thing that could happen is that, for example, we're getting 100 damage. It gets splits between the health and so 50 of that 100 damage should be absorbed by the armor. And we have a shield, a helmet, and a full body armor. But the shield, for example, only has 10 armor points left. The armor, the 50, or let's say we get 120 armor. It's easier to calculate. 100. So in our example, let's write this down. Damage is 120. We have a shield with 10 armor left, and then the helmet has, I don't know, 300, and the body armor has 5, whatever it is, a lot. Basically what will happen, what should happen is that the damage absorbed should be 60, because it's half of the damage, total damage that we receive. And since we are sorting the objects, we should sort the models first, because the shield armor, it should absorb like a third of the damage that we're getting. So it should absorb 20 damage, but it doesn't have 20 armor left. So the shield gets destroyed in this case, and only 10 damage gets absorbed. So there's 50 damage left to get absorbed by the other two. And that's why we have to sort them by the remaining armor that they have. Sorting a list is actually quite easy. You can use something called lambda expressions. So the armor models list, the list has a method called sort, and it requires a comparison expression. And that is basically what you can do is, oh no, we don't use lambda expressions here, we are using delegates. So we're creating a method basically that gets used here, and this method determines how the objects get sorted. So we have armor model, the armor 1. Basically you're creating a method here that gets 2 armor models, so gets 2 entries from your list, and then you create a method that determines how they are being compared. And this method should return a value either -1, 0, or +1. -1 means this armor model is lower, so nothing should change. Basically, -1 means this model should be first, and the armor 2 should be second in the list, or not second. Well, oh man, now I'm just rambling. Okay, so -1 means if you compare 2 values in your list, -1 means the first value should be earlier in the list than the other one. If you return +1, the 2 values will be switched in the list, and then basically it's the list is being sorted that way. And the easiest way to do that is regular data types like float and int already have a compare function. So you can just use return armor1 get armor, which is a float, and then call the compare2 value. And you can see here compares this instant to a specific floating point number and returns an integer that indicates whether the value of this instant is less than, equal to, or greater than the value of the other float. So that's basically it. It compares it, it returns 0, -1, 0, or 1, depending if it's less than, equal to, or greater than the other value. I know this was a little confusing, but basically what we're doing here, we're sorting the list, and we're getting the armor value of the of both of these values, and we compare them, so the list gets sorted by the armor value. If you want to have it sorted in descending order, so the one with the most armor is first, then you basically just turn this around, have the second value here and compare it with the first value here. Basically, I always remember it this way: if you have the values in order, like this, so armor 1 here and armor 2 here, it's an ascending list. If you have the other way around, so armor 2 here in front and then armor 1 as parameter of the compare to method, then it gets sorted in descending order. Okay, so we've sorted our list. Damage to absorb. So the damage that we should... Okay, so total damage to absorb should be damage times 0.5. And what we're doing, damage to absorb for this model basically should be total damage to absorb divided by the number of models that we have. Damage to absorb divided by... Alright. Then we're dealing that damage to the armor here. And what we can do is we can return a float value here and deal damage, basically returning the actual... No, I don't like that. If damage to absorb is bigger than the actual armor that we have, then get armor. Then we want to set it to the exact value of the remaining armor that we have, and then deal the damage here. Because if the armor gets destroyed here, then in the next iteration for the next... Oh, that's not good either. Okay, let's not make it... this is difficult. Okay, for the stream right now, I'm going to make it... I'm not going to make it that complicated. I'm going to figure that out later offline, but for now, let's just make the let's just have the damage absorbed by armor. But we're destroying this here. It gets destroyed in the next frame. Okay, that should work. Okay, so we're going through all that, damage to absorb, and then damage absorbed by armor. We now have a value damage absorbed by armor, and we can reduce the health damage that we received by the damage that has been absorbed. Okay, this has been a little bit confusing, but let's see if this works. Do you have the item database stored anywhere? I don't see the stat numbers in either database, CS or... Yeah, so basically item database... Let me just go over there. As you can see, this is a scriptable object. Item database. The item database is a scriptable object, which means you can create an asset from this. And we did. Where did I put it? I think it's in the resource folder. Yes, in resources in the database folder, there's the asset item database, and it has all the data. Alright, let's find a shield and then get some damage. Oh, this is so typical. The random generator is not nice to me at the moment. Give me a shield. Ah, damn. Alright, let me go to room manager and make sure. But I also need... Well, just try again. I will simply put a chest with the shield in our starting room so that we don't have that problem. So go to our starting room and put a chest here. Okay. Alright. Okay, see, need to research scriptable objects. Looks better than doing everything in XML. Yeah, scriptable objects are really, really helpful because you can access them just like you would access the mono behavior, and you have all the yeah, you can have all the code completion and for the values and stuff like that. So it's really really easy to use. The downside to scriptable objects is that you cannot change them. So for XML files, users would be able to change them, and sometimes that's desired. For example, if you have if you do like data-driven design and you want to have config files that determines how much damage enemies do and stuff like that, so the users are able to change that, then XML would be better. But if you just have a database inside of your game, I always prefer scriptable objects. Okay, so let's see if the bat here not only... So it should make 20 damage, and since we have armor now, it should deal 10 health here and reduce the shields by 10 as well. And that works perfectly. Nice. Let's see if we can destroy the shield and if that works as well. There, and the shield gets destroyed, and if we get hit now, we receive 20 damage again. Perfect! That is exactly what we wanted. So the shields, so the armor stuff is working. Let's strike this from our list. We have roughly in half an hour left. I always do 2-hour live streams, and there's a question: is every video available? Yes, but the Twitch only stores them for 2 weeks, so I'm uploading all my live streams to YouTube. Just go to letscodegames.com and there's the link to the YouTube channel, or just search for Let's Code Games on YouTube and you will find them as well. Do you have a mechanism for doing pop-up damage numbers yet? No, we don't. That's actually next on our list, as you can see in our list on the left. So we want to do some damage numbers for the enemy and for us as well. And I think we can do that in the remaining 30 minutes. So, damage numbers. Damage numbers is UI stuff. So basically, whenever we get hit by some, we need to have a functionality that we can just create damage numbers in the UI very easily from whatever position. And they should always be at the position where the damage was received. So if our character would get damage now, the damage number would pop up here. If you're somewhere else on the screen, they should pop up there. So basically I want to have a method in our UI show damage number with the value that should be shown, and also the world position, so we can calculate where it is on screen. So, I mean, I don't know if you know the game Secret of Mana, they actually have very beautiful damage numbers. I think for now, let's just start by just having the damage number pop up for now, and then disappear after a second or so, and then maybe I will do some polishing with that, some animation stuff offline, I think. First of all, I want to have a parent object for all the damage numbers. So let's create a new UI object here. A panel. I always create a panel if I need something like this, because the panel is basically set up to stretch to the whole screen, and then I just remove the image here. So now I have a parent object that stretches to the stream, basically. So we have a parent here, damage numbers, and we create a component here, UI damage numbers. Let's see where our scripts are. No, this is the sprites interface. UI damage numbers. So we need this is our parent object, and it basically will create the prefab. Let's just, for the damage numbers for now, I just duplicate this Ruby text here. So for now this would be a damage number, but let's make sure that it is centered. And this is centered as well. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's big enough. Okay, we have that. We don't need the counter here. Basically, and let's create a prefab from this object. Prefabs, interface, and have a damage number prefab. And then in the damage number script that we just created, we need a reference to that prefab, and basically whenever our show damage number method is being called, then we want to create an instance of that. Okay, to do that, to be able to create a damage number from anywhere in the code, we can create a static instance here, basically a singleton for this class, because it only exists once, and by making it public static, we can access this from wherever, anywhere in our code very easily. So set the instance to this, and then have a method show damage number. We want to have the damage amount, and we want to have the 3D position, the world position where it shows. We need a reference to the prefab that we just created, damage number prefab. And what we can do here, we create an instance of that prefab. So new damage number object, instantiate game object, then we get the text component of this. Let's make sure that we're using the UI namespace. So get component text and set the text to the let's round this to integer again. Set the text, and then we need to set the position as well. And this is a little bit tricky because we have the world position again, and we need to calculate the screen position of that. And similar to what we did before, we can use helper methods from our camera here. So we can have world to screen point. But wait a second. Screen space. I'm not sure if this. Let's see if this works. I think the canvas scaler might screw this up a little bit, but let's see how this works first. So we put in the world position here. So from this world position, we are getting a new vector that has the pixel position of that world position. So we're getting the screen position here, and then basically for the new damage number object, get component, get direct transform. I don't even think that we need direct transform, but whatever. Oh, the direct transform always has confusing parameters. I always forget which one I need to use there. So we have position X, position Y. Let's see if it's just position. Let's get a debug value here so we know what's happening. Screen position. And then we want to delete this object after a second again. Basically, we can call destroy with a second parameter with the time, so destroy is being called in a second. That is very helpful in cases like this. So show damage number, instantiate the prefab, set the text, then calculate the screen position and set the object to the screen position, and then destroy it after a second again. So when in our deal damage character health method, in our deal damage method here, we basically just get the instance to the damage numbers method and then type show damage number, oops, damage at our current position. Let's see if that works at all. Let's find an enemy. Or can we just type T? Yes, we can just press T, but we haven't set up the reference to our prefab here. Let's press T, and then the damage number gets created. Here you can see it, but it's not created in our parent object, so since this is a UI element, it cannot be rendered like this. So we have to set the parent. Let's make sure that we have a reference to our rect transform. Do we need that actually? No, we don't. We don't need a reference here. Basically, let's store the rect transform of the object. So damage number transform. And the first thing that we want to do to this is call set parent and set this to ourselves. And then the second thing that we want to do is to set the position. Let's press play here. T. Okay, it works, but why is this not displayed? It is being displayed. What's going on? Scale is 90. Why is the scale 90? Oh, okay. Something is wrong here. I think the canvas scaler is messing this up. Okay, let's make sure that we can create this without setting the position first. So the set parent method has a parameter world position stays. This should help us. Get damage. This is way too big. It's way too big. Okay, it doesn't help us, but what we can do is we can set the local scale to 1, and then we set the position to the screen position. Does that work at least? It should. If we set the pivot to the top left. I'm still not fluent in the rect transforms. I have always some issues with them. So press T, 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 T. Where are my damage numbers now? They're way off. Why are they so off? So the position is not the right. Oh yeah, we have the anchor position. That was it. Right. Anchor position is what we want. Press T. Still nothing. Where are you now? Well, at least alright, so the scaling is not helping us right now. So what can we do here? Let's calculate a wall to viewport point. And then let's just get the size of the rect transform to get the proper values here. So we now have the viewport point again is basically a value between 0 and 1 depending on where you are on the screen. So 0 and the x-axis would be on the far left and 1 would be on the far right, and the same with the y-axis. Now we can basically multiply that so the viewport position, we multiply that by the rect transform. I think we can get it like this, width, and then it should be, I think, negative screen position times rect transform rect height. This way we should get a proper position regardless of the scale, hopefully. Let's see. Very good, but it's not, so the y-axis is not working properly at the moment. Oh, we died. That's not good. The y-axis is, in this case, it should be anchored to the bottom left, I guess, and then it could be positive as well. I said bottom left. I want to anchor this to bottom left. Okay, let's see again. There you go. There we have a damage number popping up. Whenever we receive any damage. So let's find a bat and get damage the regular way. There's some to the left here. Get damage, and then there's the 20 here. But yeah, I mean the pop-up is correct, but I think it's too small, and also, well, there's a bug here. There's negative 10 health. When we die, set the health to 0 to fix that. So let's make the damage number a little bit bigger. Let's say maybe 50. And we can also give it a small animation, so it's a little bit more obvious when it pops up. And to do that, we are creating an animator here. and we this is prefabs. I want to create a small animation so it pops up and then jumps back down again. So let's just create maybe an effects. Create the animation, damage number, pop up. So we put this, and we also need to create an animator controller for this. Damage number pop up. Put the animator controller here. Basically just have the pop-up animation here, and then we can open our animation timeline and just animate the oh wait, so let's make a parent, a child from the text, in order to, so we can animate just the text and we stay in the same position there. Okay, so damage number pop up. Basically, what we want to animate is the. Wait, stop. Let's set this up properly first. Put this to the center. And now we want to animate the text object, so it jumps up. Change the anchor position. It starts at 0 and it goes back to 0 again. And then what we can do as well, we can go over to curves, and you can see here that right now it has a nice arc, but I also want to have it bouncing a little bit. That's always nice. So let's basically copy this at, how many frames do we have here? Sample, let's just make it 10 frames so it's easier to work with. So in frame 6 and then frame 12 it bounces back, and then basically a physical bounce, it loses half of the energy whenever it bounces. So we have 6 frames to reach to the top, then in the next one we have 3 frames to reach the top. 2, 3, oh, and then we have, yeah. And then also the top should only be half as high. So you have a small bounce effect there. It doesn't look very good. And this is because of the interpolation here. What we can do here is we can say that the tangents are broken, and we make sure that it bounces properly. Just create a proper gravity arc, just roughly. So let's see, zoom in a little bit, press play. Yeah, but it's way too slow. Let's go to 20 here. Make twice fast. That doesn't look very nice. Maybe 15. Yeah, but I want to have another bounce in there as well. So again, let's make sure that the tangents are set up properly so it looks kind of like a bounce. It bounces only half the size. That should work. Yep. Okay. That's the animation here. Then make sure it's not looping. I think that works. And we need to make sure that we are changing the text from the prefab in the first child now, because we put the text further down the hierarchy. So get child and then get component text. So get some damage. Transform child out of bounds. What is? But I applied that, didn't I? Oh, damn. I think I messed that up. Let's make sure. Okay, I can undo this. The prefab interface. Oh no, the prefab is created correctly. Oh, okay, but the prefab is not set up correctly here. Fine. It should work better. So when we press T now, we should have this nice bouncing effect. Oh, but so let's make it live for 2 seconds. And actually, we should have an event to destroy the object. But that looks better. I mean, it jumps very high. That's a little. It jumps very high, but still, it looks pretty nice. I'm going to polish that offline a little further, but for now, it looks pretty good. So when we get hit, we get our damage counter there. Nice. And then the last thing, I mean, I think we have like 2 minutes left or something. I want to have damage counters for the enemies as well. So let's have the enemy prefab, the bat here. Where is the bat being destroyed? So we have an attackable enemy here. We can set the max health. Should be a float, really. I mean, we should reuse the health model from before, I think. But for now, let's just do on hit. I don't know, we just fake it. We just fake it for now. Damage 10. Health is reduced by the damage. And then UI damage numbers. Instant, show damage number, damage at our what position. Just faking it for now, and then because we need to have weapon stats, so how much damage does the sword do and stuff like that. But I don't think, yeah, we won't be doing that today. I just wanted to have the damage counter for the bat in there, and then we can make it function better later. Where are the bats? Now they're all hiding. There's a bat. Kill it. And we do 10 damage. Nice. Very nice. Basically what we did today is we can have an armor, and so we created the health bars here. We have armor values. When we have the armor get hit, the damage is reduced, and or rather the damage is split up between the armor and our health. We have the damage counters that are happening when we get hit and when the enemy gets hit. So this is pretty good progress for today. The game's frame rate seems a little low. That's not that has nothing to do with the game itself. It actually the problem is that my computer is not good enough to stream and play at the same time. So I actually reduced the stream to 720p already to combat that a little bit. That's why I'm not streaming in full HD. Yeah, at some point maybe I need to get a better computer to be able to stream in full HD and have a decent frame rate. But the game runs fine actually. If I'm not streaming at the same time, the profiler tells me it runs at 700 frames or something. So performance is really not an issue in this game. Alright, yeah, I think this should be it for today. I mean, we've been working for 2 hours now and made some really good progress. As I said before, I won't be here next week. Usually I do the streams on Saturdays, but I won't be here next Saturday, so that's why there's this special Sunday stream here. If you like this, please follow me on Twitch so you can join me next time again, or subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can find all of the links at letscodegames.com, and as always I will upload the code that we did today to our Git repository. You can also find that on letscodegames.com, so you can check out the code, and the video from this stream will be uploaded next Sunday, because I'm always uploading the videos of the streams on Sunday. The video that we created yesterday was uploaded today, and this video will be uploaded next Sunday and the weekend where I'm not here, so there's still a video on YouTube. Alright, yeah, thank you all for coming by, and I hope to see you all next time again. So let's see, when is the next stream? Next Saturday is the 6th, that's when I'm not here, and then the 13th. So yeah, on June 13th is the next stream, so I hope to see you all there. Have a great have a great Sunday, and see you next time.